Imagine waking up one morning with the storm already brewing in your chest. Not metaphorically, but literally. You step outside, and the sky responds. A flicker of irritation, and clouds gather like a grudge. A sudden wave of joy, and sunlight bursts through the haze, scattering golden beams like confetti. You laugh and petals drift from nowhere, caught in a breeze that didn't exist 5 seconds ago. What if your emotions controlled the weather? Not through machines or apps or rituals, but directly, viscerally. Whatever you feel, the sky becomes. But there's a catch, a terrifying, irreversible catch. Once the weather shifts, you can't stop it. Not until your emotions run their natural course. No off switch, no undo. Your mood is now a climate system, and the world will have to ride the storm with you. At first, it seems like a beautiful miracle. Imagine the serenity of walking through your own calm drizzle when you're in a reflective mood, or the thrill of a snow flurry during a rush of nostalgia. Children giggle, watching a rainbow curve overhead every time they feel a spark of wonder. Couples learn to time their picnics around mutual peace and happiness. But the reality crashes in fast, because emotions are messy, unpredictable, and they don't care about forecasts. A teenager gets heartbroken, and an unexpected blizzard paralyzes half a city. A single burst of fury in traffic births a lightning storm that downs power grids. One grieving mother's sorrow floods an entire town. It becomes clear that emotional weather isn't cute, it's catastrophic. And worse, it's contagious. A panic attack in a crowded room sends winds spiraling. Collective anxiety becomes hurricanes. The atmosphere itself becomes a mirror of the global human condition. And just as emotions intensify in groups, so does the weather. A protest turns into a torrential downpour. A stadium full of elated fans launches a heat wave that scorches the surrounding neighborhoods. Governments scramble to contain it. Not with weapons, but with regulation, emotional zoning, empathy quarantines, mental wellness checkpoints. People are required to wear mood monitors. Cities invest in emotion-neutral architecture, zones where only the emotionally stabilized are allowed. And then there are the empaths, those few who feel everything, all the time. They become walking weather anomalies. Their presence able to warp jet streams or stir typhoons. Some are locked away, others worshipped. A few disappear completely, carried off by their own emotional cyclones. Social interactions become dangerously high stakes. You don't just ruin a party with an argument, you trigger hail. Shards of frozen regret tumble from a sky that doesn't forgive, pummeling rooftops and scattering crowds. A careless insult at dinner becomes a sudden windstorm that topples trees. Passive aggression fogs up entire neighborhoods. The air itself grows tense with unshed tears and unscreamed truths. It becomes too much to risk. People start planning conversations around forecast apps, not ones tracking the jet stream, but the emotional barometer of those involved. First dates come with disclosure forms. Recent heartbreaks, lingering anger. Please check all that apply. No one wants to be caught mid-argument when the sky cracks open. No one wants to be collateral damage in someone else's spiral. Families fracture under the pressure. A teenager's mood swings wreak havoc on entire blocks. Parents try to stay calm for the weather, swallowing anxiety while their homes flood from unspoken fears. Teachers resign en masse, too dangerous to risk a class full of hormonal adolescents whose collective embarrassment can summon tornadoes. Schools turn remote. Offices go virtual. Anywhere emotions might collide in volume becomes a no-go zone. And the fear seeps in. People stop making eye contact. Laughter in public becomes suspicious. What if it's not joy, but manic desperation? Smiles are rationed, not because people don't feel, but because every feeling now costs. No one knows what a crowded city might look like if 1,000,000 hearts broke at once. Governments begin to act. Emotional suppression becomes policy. Pharmaceuticals flood the market, mood stabilizers that dull the peaks and valleys, leaving citizens in a constant state of muted gray. In some nations, children are tested early for emotional volatility risk. Those who score too high are relocated, isolated for atmospheric training. It's for the good of society, they're told. And yet, the clouds linger. Religions fracture and reform. Some preach total detachment, a divine calm. Others call the weather divine punishment. A reckoning for generations of repression and disconnection. New cults arise, worshipping empaths as holy conduits of truth. One group claims the sky itself has become sentient, feeding on human emotion like breath, learning, evolving. And through it all, the weather does not stop, because emotions don't stop. They crash and coil and surge in bodies too small to contain them. The sky just makes the truth visible. Brutally, beautifully visible. You learn to walk carefully, not just with your words, but with your feelings. You breathe evenly in crowds. You train your face to stay still when inside. You quake, because one stray flicker of pain could freeze the city. One forgotten grudge could light the sky on fire. You live now not just with your heart on your sleeve, but your climate in your chest. And every day, the sky asks one question. How do you feel?